Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in, everyone. Let's see here. Man, this is like a bike that we haven't rode in a while, and I honestly don't know if I still remember how to ride. I don't know if I still remember how to ride this bike. I might know. I think I do. Oh, you know what? Actually, I want to try this. Oh yeah, this is dope. No, hold on. Let's see. No, because then that would block what we need. So there we go. There we go. All right. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. As we get in, tap the screen, share the live, send your daily heart me. It's only one coin. It'll boost the live. It'll push us out to the FYP. Also, if we could please knock out the daily gift goal. It's only one coin. It will boost the live as well. Right? So do that. Guys, this is Late Nights with Santana. Jillian, I missed you as well. This is Late Nights with Santana, guys. This is not what you're used to. This is not the norm. This is not the average everyday debate. This is special. This is a panel discussion. This is a place of respect, communication, understanding. It's a place where your voice can be heard. This is where it all started. So, as I welcome everybody back in and I welcome everyone back to Late Nights with Santana, the only way that I know how to get it started is with a good time.
Yeah, this ain't your regular panel. Nah, we speak the truth. Late Nights with Santana and Mama Jones watching. Better keep it clean. Let's go. Late nights, truth in the convo. Everybody get a seat at the table. From the block to the books, we mindful. No screaming, just dreams and the Bible. One mic, one voice, we build bridges from the heart of the hood to the world's big issues. Politics, pain, different cultures. But the real ones listen before they rebuttal. Late Nights with Santana. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this the purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot. But we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Yeah, Late Nights with Santana. You already know. Late Nights with Santana. Late nights, no static. No highlight reel, just the soul's reflection. No shade throwing, just connection. From streetwise truths to deep reflections, we turn hard talks into blessings. They say they run a game, we build new rules. We here to heal, uplift, and break the old rules. They kept us boxed in, divided by fear. But you find us lined up when the truth appears. Yeah, weekly topics, hearts wide open. No judgment, just motion. Real ones talking, no cussing. Cause Mama Jones still watching, no fronting. Yeah, Late Nights with Santana. You already know. Late Nights with Santana. Late nights, no static. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this the purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot. But we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this the purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot. But we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Weekly topics, hearts wide open. No judgment, just motion. Real ones talking, no cussing. Cause Mama Jones still watching, no fronting. Yeah, Late Nights with Santana. You already know. Late Nights with Santana. Late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights with Santana. You already know. Late nights with Santana. Late nights.
Guys, welcome in. Please pardon me as I figure out how to fix this darn layout. Holy smokes, it's been a long time since I've actually had to do this. It's been a long time. Since I've had to actually, can I get the layout back the way that I want? Let's see here. Hold on. There we go. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. We are back. We're absolutely back. This is Late Nights with Santana. And guys, if you have not had the opportunity to ever join this conversation, this is a panel discussion where we actually do all the wonderful things and we have a wonderful conversation. So with that being said, if you are interested in joining the conversation here at Late Nights, get in the box. Get in the box. Everyone is welcome. This is not a situation where we're looking for oppositions and you have to be a Trump supporter or you have to be this or you have to be that. Late Nights with Santana is an opportunity for everyone to come together and have this conversation. And this week, we have a very, very important conversation. The conversation that we will be covering this week is absolutely about finding your community. And when I say finding your community, I don't just mean like, hey, I'm looking for like people to hang out with online or whatever. Finding your community actually is made up of a couple of different things, right? So we're going to be talking about online spaces. And when I say online spaces, I'm talking about people who come together and they congregate online. TikTok lives, what we're doing right now in this very moment, TikTok lives. But we also are talking about other places like Discord servers, right? Twitter spaces, all of those other places where people tend to congregate. So we're going to have that conversation. Now, when you tend to congregate with people tend to engage in tribalism, which tribalism is dangerous. Tribalism is self-consuming. Tribalism is something that looks to exclude others instead of actually building community, which if you're going to have an online community, then you're going to want to build community, right? So we're going to talk about tribalism. We're also going to talk about social outcasts. I think this is something super important for us to talk about because when I say social outcasts, I know everyone else has saw this. There is a group of people, not a specific group of people, but there's an online trend now where people have gone so far where they're looking to be contrarians, right? They're looking to be in a place where they're either negatively impacting anyone or they're in a space where they turn towards certain things that are not good for them. Groypers, red pill, toxic masculinity, mean girls club, all of those things are rooted in being outcast. So we're going to talk about that. Last but not least, we're going to absolutely talk about connecting and building. And when I say connecting and building, I mean, we are absolutely talking about what does it look like to not only have a healthy, safe, positive online community, but what does that look like offline? How does that connect? So these are the things that we're going to be talking about here on Late Nights with Santana. This is the topic for the week. So if you are interested in joining, get in the box. I will go ahead and start let people up. As I bring people in, please mute yourself. Please mute yourself, and I will go around the panel, and we will do a quick introduction. Again, go ahead and request up if you're interested in joining the conversation. I'm going to grab a couple of people that I know for sure, some of the OGs of Late Nights, and we're going to get a couple other people in as well. So again, guys, as we get in here on the panel, please mute yourself and we will go around the horn and do a couple quick introductions and then we'll get started. As we're getting people up, guys, please tapping the screen. Let's go ahead and get the likes up to 25,000 likes. Also, share the live. That's super important, but not only sharing the live, but repost the live. Reposting the live is very, very helpful. We have the daily gift goal, which are the little chili peppers. So if we can go ahead and knock those out, it would be absolutely, absolutely wonderful. And also, again, send your daily heartbeats. 1 coin, it'll boost the live. All right. So let's see. And let's grab this person. All right, guys. All right. Oh, well, I guess that person is not going to load. Let's grab one more person. How about this person? Oh, that person didn't load either. So we're going to grab this person. All right. Perfect. Looks like everyone is loading in. All right, guys. So we are going to go ahead and get ready to do a quick round robin. We're going to do introductions and we will get into all of the information. So I'm going to start at the top. Jillian, how are you?
I'm doing good. Good to see you. Hi, everybody.
Likewise. It's been forever, Jillian.
Yeah. What happened?
Oh, man, listen. Life.
Yeah, right. Me too.
All right. Yeah. All right, Jillian. So I'm going to start with you. You know how this goes. Jillian, can you tell me what is your current perspective on online communities? And is there any online community outside of ours that you would say that you are a part of?
As far as being like active in anything, not really. I try and stay away from Facebook. I have my favorites on YouTube kind of stuff, but this is really, I think, the only thing I actively participate in. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Give me 1 second, Jillian. Jarrett, how are you?
I am doing well. Long time no see since this morning.
Likewise. I know. All right, Jarrett, can you tell the people, what are your thoughts on online communities? And is there an online community that you participate in outside of this one?
So I can say that they've been important to me. I've been on the internet since AOL in the mid-90s and participating in online professional wrestling, like role-playing leagues. But outside of this community, I'm building a community with fellow independent writers. So we get together and do writing sessions on live. And then, a few things on Discord and all of that.
Okay. Perfect. 1 second here. Paul, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, Santana? Been following you and Dean for quite some time, but good to be here.
Good to have you. Paul, what are your thoughts on online communities and are you a part of any?
Online communities, I think is very important. If I could have it my way, I would just rather keep it old school and join communities in person. But it seems like it's a lot more convenient for people to, just be on a virtual platform. So
it absolutely is. Listen, we're going to get into that as well. Perfect. Give me a second here. Jonathan, how are you?
Santana, how's it going, buddy?
Wonderful. Jonathan, you and I know each other from debating, but can you tell the people, because I don't know this part, what are your thoughts on online communities and are you a part of any online communities?
I mean, I'm a part of the America First one. I'm not a liberal like you guys, but I don't really care. I'm a part of the America First mainly. I mean, some Catholic stuff.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
But how's your Valentine's? That's what I had to ask you yesterday, but didn't let me up.
Oh, well, I'm not talking about Valentine's, but give it a second here, Jonathan. I'll come back to you. All right. Ashley, how are you?
Hi, Santana. I'm blessed. How are you, sir?
Good. Ashley, can you tell the people, what are your thoughts on online communities and are you a part of any?
Online community, I believe, is very important, especially if you surround yourself with the right people that are really good for you, not just online, but mentally as well. Also, the online community I'm part of is, for me, both in a mixture of sports world and the autism community. I am autistic on the autism spectrum, and I wanted to my big thing is bringing the importance of inclusion and representation in sports for athletes like myself and Special Olympic athletes. So that's the community that I'm part of.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you, Ashley. And last but not least, is it pronounced Irma? Am I saying that right? Irma?
It's Irma.
Irma. There we go. Irma, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. Irma, can you tell the people what are your thoughts on online communities and are you a part of any?
I think that online communities can be a great tool, especially if you are trying to network or learn some new things. I'm a part of several groups, but I've been kind of inactive for a while, but I'm trying to get back into it. There's just been like a lot of crazy things going on. But I've been a couponer for many, many years, many blurred spaces, many not necessarily religious, but groups that talk about religion in general, like different types of religion. It's not just like one or the other. It's just kind of like people trying to get to know or understand another. That's what I'm part of.
Got it. All right. Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you so much. All right, guys. We are going to go ahead and get started. We're going to get started now. A couple of things before we get into it, because this may be some people's first time actually engaging in late nights, and late nights is completely different than, I didn't mean to do that. Late nights is completely different than sparring in a couple of different ways. So I'm going to go over the rules. The rules are for everyone. There we go. I'm going to go over the rules because late nights is completely different. Just a reminder for everyone on the panel, right? Late nights, this is a panel discussion and we are mindful and respectful. So no talking over each other, no fussing back and forth. We can have cross conversation, but I will be guiding the conversation. So please always stay on mute until I come to you. All right. Now, a couple of quick things as well for the people on the panel. Please be mindful to use TikTok friendly language. What does that mean? That means that you want to say things like pew pew, unalive, mustache man, C19, all of those things that will protect your TikTok and also protect the stream. Also, I want to remind people that this is a safe and friendly community. What does that mean? That means that we don't deal with any of the isms, racism, sexism, classism. We don't do any of the phobias, homophobia, transphobia, none of that. We don't play that on the panel nor in the chat. And chat, just a reminder, caps are for mods. Please do not use caps in the comments because caps will draw my attention away from the panel and to the chat. And I want to make sure that we are able to actually have this conversation. Now, if anyone would like to actually continue to support the live, what we need you guys to do is a couple of different things. Tap the screen. Let's get the likes up to 50,000 likes. Send your daily heart me. It's only one coin. It will help boost the live, push us out to the FYP. Also, if you would like to support the live, this is a crowd-funded live. So if you want to continue the live and keep this going, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, Santana Speaks For You is the best way to support the live. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I will read that out. Just like Renegade sent a $10 super chat and said, finally in my new home, finally feeling safe. No more MAGA neighborhoods harassing me for my queerness every day. Thank you for the strength. And W's in the chat for Renegade. Thank you so much for that super chat. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Again, if you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and get in the request. I will be rotating people in and out so we can have this conversation. But I want to start, Jillian. I'm going to pass it to you because you're OG. You know how this goes. I'm going to put the burden on you to kick us off right. Jillian. So one thing that I've learned throughout my time, on and offline, and also, being an older guy, I'm almost 40, is that people tend to coalesce with people that are like-minded, right? And so people they search out these communities. The thing that's been so interesting for me is that after COVID or C19, we saw a shift of people no longer being as social in public and shifting to being more social online. Jillian, what do you think the impacts have been with so many people looking to move their community off from being from being in person to online. How has that actually impacted people and maybe like some of their personal skills?
Well, I think, for one, I think it shows people's true colors more. In the sense, not necessarily in a negative way. I mean, obviously there's the thing of like, it's easier to spout off stuff when you don't have to look the person in the face, that negative side of it. But also, like I've noticed with my daughter, who's 13, she replies to things and she spell checks everything, and she doesn't hit send before she reads it a bunch of times and make sure, like it gives you the time to do that, to think before you speak. So I think it can be good, but I also think it's made it much harder to meet people in real life and actually make friends when you're in a new place. So I think it's overall negative on society, but I think there are positives that can come from it if we use it right.
Yeah, no, listen, I completely agree. I think we've seen like a great shift towards what is or is not acceptable online, and what is or is not acceptable to say. I think a lot of people have the ability to hide on online platforms, and they also have the ability to create personas that's not who they are in real life. And so since they have the ability to craft a certain persona versus being who they are, you see a difference in a lot of people. Jillian, would you say that people are more likely to be themselves online or to create some type of fantasy? Like, what's been your experience with dealing with people through like online communities?
I think it depends on the person. I think someone who is extremely insecure in real life and like socially awkward, they might find it easier to be themselves online. And then other people who don't have a problem with face-to-face social interactions, they might find it easier to create something else, and whether it's trolling or whether it's all in good fun, but to be someone else online. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no. It absolutely does. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much, Jillian. Paul, I actually want to come to you next. Paul, a little bit of the same, because Paul, if you don't mind me asking, about how old are you? 35. Okay, so you're close to my age. And so you have that understanding of like life before C19, where it was more about being a socialite and getting out and, like, hey, I want to do this and do that. What's been your experience from pre-C19 as far as the actual social life and aspect as far as communities versus what you see post C19, where the online presence has greatly increased?
Definitely. I see the impact on kind of a little bit of what Jillian was saying. It kind of gives people a little more courage to be a little more bold with I guess you could say keyboard warrior in that sense. But I think that a lot of positives that come from it is like people. For me, like I feel like I've become a lot more articulate just being in front of people, because it's difficult to engage in dialogue, and when you're put in the spotlight, it can definitely force you to have to do your homework, in a sense. Yeah. So I definitely see that with being in the spotlight online, whereas opposed to, like, I'm used to just being interactive in person. And so how do you change with being online versus in person? Because I know for myself, like, and I say this, and it's kind of hard for a lot of people to believe, but for me, I'm pretty much the same person offline as I am online. I may be a little bit, bigger and louder as far as trying to ensure that, like I'm drawing attention in the sense of
creating this show, but like my personality offline is pretty much the exact same online. Do you find yourself being more reserved, or like how do you interact on online spaces versus what you've done in real life?
All right, great question. I tend to be a lot more performative when I'm online, which is ironic because kind of what I do for a living. I used to do for a living was mentoring and coaching youth, and so being in front of people, like it's you kind of get you can kind of build empathy when you're talking to somebody in person. Whereas online, I tend to be more performative, and I really don't understand where that comes from. But I think it's because when you're talking to strangers, it's and you have like 400 people watching. It kind of puts the pressure on it a little bit.
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's interesting to me because now we've come to this place where we, in the past, we may go out and we're around, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. It's a lot if it's 100 some people, but now we have the ability to congregate, right? There's over 400 people hanging out right here just on TikTok. If you add in like Twitter and I'm sorry, not Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, all of that, it's like, hundreds of people. And we have the ability to connect with so many different people from so many different places. And that was something that we didn't have before. So I do see what you're saying as far as it changes the aspect and the dynamic as far as how you interact, because it's completely different. Paul, all right, perfect. Give me 1 second here. I want to come to Jared. Jared, I want to kind of shift the conversation a little bit. And I want to know not necessarily your premise as far as online spaces, but what do you know about tribalism?
Oh, so
AEW or WWE?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm AEW.
Really?
But yes, I mean, I'm from the same town as Tony Khan, so so hometown support. But I mean, we could discuss the historical context or just what it has become online, because I feel that online is where tribalism becomes the most dynamic and fierce, because of the anonymity of an online persona. Even so, like, I participate in a lot of conversations with, I mean, as simple as, Star Wars versus Star Trek, Xbox versus PlayStation. But then when we get down to the nitty gritty of X and everything like that, I mean, I come from Jewish descent, and we, you go back and forth of those conversations. And then I'm losing my train of thought. I'm sorry.
No worries. I get what you're going and where you're going. Yeah, and it's super interesting that, like, from space to space, how things change. And even when you talk about tribalism, there's different forms of tribalism when it comes to, like, different spaces. So one thing that I really want to make sure that people understand is when we're talking about tribalism, it's the premise that you are a part of a certain group. And if you're not a part of a certain group, either you're with us or you're against us, right? And we see a lot of that, especially here on TikTok, right? That's why when you talk about, like, these spaces, right, you have these quote unquote liberal spaces and you have these quote unquote MAGA spaces, right? When you talk about politics, and you see that whenever someone goes into those spaces and they engage as like, hey, I have an opposite point of view, then you see a lot of people automatically attacking them, right? No matter which side of the aisle you fall on, there is a sense of like, you're not one of us, so we're going to immediately attack you no matter what you're saying, how you're being. And so that is something that we are seeing more of. And so I guess, Jared, coming back to you, is there any tribalism that you've actually experienced on this app that has made you, like, second guess the way that you interact with people that may have a different opinion as you?
Like negatively or positively or both?
Either.
So I can break it down simply to a subject that we are both familiar with, and that is professional wrestling. And on TikTok and in X, the internet wrestling community can be very hostile, very, very toxic community, and to the point where you can't express your own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, I have stepped back from even interacting with anyone.
Yep.
That because if I say something they don't like, it's going to be like hyenas in Lion King just pouncing on Scar or or
what's interesting?
Yeah.
Like I've seen that a lot. And that happens. Not only is there a sense of dogpiling like in these spaces, like on TikTok or whatever, but I don't know how often you are in like different Discords, but like I've noticed that a lot on like Discord servers, where if you see someone who starts to push against like the groupthink or the echo chamber or whatever, or say like, hey, maybe we shouldn't. And then they just all converse on that one person and pretty much bully that person into thinking and feeling the same way that they're actually doing it. And that's dangerous, right, Jared?
Yeah, it is. And the most, I guess, ideological experience that I had, even offline and online, was my deconstruction of my religious faith, because I felt trapped. No, I got brainwashed and indoctrinated into a conservative church, and I began to think differently. I began to stop being a yes person and push back against the ideology. And that was my first taste of tribalism, because I essentially got ostracized, because I would bring these ideas up, and no, if you are part of us, you need to think this way. Don't think that way. And that is very dangerous.
It is. And I agree. And I think that's something that a lot of people have to be mindful of. And I think that's something that everyone has a specific story that they can relate to. So thank you for that, Jared. Thank you. All right. Jonathan, I'm coming to you next. But before I do, I just want to remind the people, listen, just because I'm not saying it doesn't mean that we don't want to do all the good things. Guys, we're at 53,000 likes. Go ahead and tap the screen. Let's get the likes up to 100,000 likes. Also, we have the daily gift goal, which is the little pink heart puffs. If we can knock that out, that'll get us more push. That'll get us out to the FYP. That'll bring more people in. And that means we can have more conversations. If you're interested in joining the panel discussion, go ahead and get in the box. I'm going to rotate people in and out to make sure that everyone has the ability to join the conversation. So if you would like to make your voice heard on online communities and what that means and how that looks, get in the box. We will be rotating people in and out. This is night one of Late Nights with Santana. We are back. And last but not least, guys, if you enjoy the live, if you enjoy the information, education, and entertainment, if you want to help support the space, you can do so by donating through Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Santana Speaks for You. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. Jonathan, I want to come to you. And I want to kind of take you in a different direction, because you and I have had a little bit of interaction, and I've kind of noticed something, but I want to get your thoughts on it first.
Yeah.
Jonathan, what are your thoughts on people who are seeking community online, but tend to run into spaces where they tend not to be accepted? And so instead of actually looking to make a way into a certain community, then they start to lash outward and just rebel against everyone, saying basically like, oh, you guys don't accept me. Well, you know what? I'm just going to wreck everything. What do you think about those types of people?
Those guys I'm not really a fan of. One of my old Discord servers, someone did that. They kind of nuked the server, but I don't know. I think a lot of it, like some stuff can just be a lot to take in on people trying to find communities. Like, let's just say they come to the America First community. They don't know a thing about anything, and they just feel, overwhelmed, or I don't know, by all the information, and they just get angry. But also, You got to try to stay away from those people. Maybe like let them learn their own path. Like there's more moderate views. I'm not MAGA at all, but like they could go to MAGA or something. I have no clue. I mean, as a liberal and a Republican, whatever you are, you start out somewhere. I'm not a Republican, but you got to start somewhere and maybe start out like the lowest level that you can go, learn your way up to the right community. I think that's my thoughts.
Jonathan, question about how old are you?
18.
That's what I thought. I thought you were a young man.
Yeah.
Jonathan, what do you think about like people who are people who tend to look for online communities and end up falling into, I guess, what you could call a negative online community? How about like you know these Discord servers that become like super toxic? Right?
I do.
So what are your thoughts on younger people who are looking for a community and then they end up in a community which is filled with toxic people and it becomes their entire personality?
Yeah, that's not really a good thing. That I don't know. I've had that happen to me like a while back, but like I think people should have their like set views before they join anything, just so people don't push them around to say, "Hey, you're not this," and then they just start, attacking them. I think I don't even know. You kind of got me there, but like. Yeah, like I said, I think people should know what they're getting into before they try to get into it. And yeah, those toxic communities are not the best because some people are just, they'll just be a dickhead because they're a dickhead.
Got to watch the language. This is late nights.
Yeah. Yep. My fault. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Okay. One last question for you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
And again, this is just from personal experience. The way you and I have engaged. And so I feel like I know you a little bit and I really want to hear your insight on this. How do you think a lack of community starts to manifest itself in young men? Like when there's young men searching for either an identity, searching to be a part of something or belonging, and they don't have that thing. And so then they start to lash out in negative ways, whether it's constant trolling, whether it's, uncomfortable remarks towards other people, slurs, things like that. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think that's something that is driven by people just wanting to be a part of something and belonging?
Yeah, I mean, I think that can. I mean, I'm a TikTok troll. I'm not going to lie to you. But like there's mainly just a time and a place for that. But with about like the slurs and all that, I mean, if they're just doing it to be a troll, whatever, but people with actual hatred for a skin color, I think it's just really weird.
Wait, do you think slurring to be a troll is acceptable?
I mean, I don't know. It depends on the scenario.
And you can be honest. I mean, it's just a question.
It really depends on the scenario and like what it is. Like if people are trolling a disabled person and calling them, I think that's just, I'm not gonna, I said, I think that's just wrong. But like if they're
any insight on as far as like why that's something that people do, and more so because I see this from like younger kids, right? Like a lot of times I'll be not myself or someone else's live, and then there's a random 10-year-old who comes up and just spams the N slur, and I'm thinking to myself like, there's no way they have the understanding or context of that. But why? Any insight that you may have on why this may be something that they gravitate to and they actually do?
So I think that's because like maybe they're watching a TikTok live, they see someone do it, they think it's funny, they start laughing, they make their first little alt account, and they start doing it. I think it's really that. I mean, that also kind of falls into the community part because trolling is a community, and I think it's just because I want to be edgy almost. I don't know. I used to do trolling like that, but that was like a year ago. I don't even know. But I feel like it's just kind of I don't know. It's just trying to be edgy. That's how I see it. Is they just want to do something to get a reaction out of people.
Okay. Well, that's the first time I've ever heard someone say that trolling is a community. So that is an interesting thought. We're going to come back to that because I don't want to forget that, because that again, that's something that I've never heard. But all right,
You've never heard
Ashley,
of that?
no, I didn't know that people looked at it as an actual community. I know there's Discord servers where people go in and they'll specifically go to a creator and they'll kind of troll in a sense of hey, I want to debate this or da 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 da. But I didn't know that it was considered a community. So that's interesting. But give me a second. I'm going to come back to you.
All right.
Ashley, I'm going to come to you.
Yes, sir.
I want to know your thoughts on people who end up becoming outcasts because they are looking for a community, but they're unable to find a community. And then kind of to what Jonathan was saying, that they end up joining a community that engages in things like slurring, which is harmful. So what are your thoughts on that? And even more so, I know that you talked about your autism as well before, and I'm pretty sure that you are a Black woman. Is that accurate?
I'm actually Caucasian, white.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I couldn't see your picture.
It's okay.
But what are your thoughts as far as because slurs are prevalent, right? Whether it's the R slur, the N slur, people do those things. What are your thoughts as far as when you're just minding your own business and you just hear someone spamming a slur on your favorite TikTok live?
So I could tell you first of all, slurs ain't in my vocabulary because I've been called the R word when I was young. And I've actually experienced somebody using the R word on my live one time. And they were trying to be funny, but it's that's not funny. I felt as being an outcast. I experienced being an outcast at a young age because growing up at, being on the autism spectrum, I felt like I was an outcast to say the white people, because growing up, I felt like if you were white, there was nothing wrong with you. So I felt like there was something, I wasn't considered fully white because intellectual disability, being called the R word by a white person. So I felt, I was more embraced by the Black community. And I feel like when someone feels like they are a social outcast, they feel like they try to find a way to fit in, try to assimilate a certain group. However, I know for me, I can say that my thing for the longest time in life was trying to feel belong. And because like I said, being autistic, you're living in a world where a lot of people still believe some of the outdated things that is being said and believed. And so trying to fit in a certain group or where you do your own research and having to work 20 times harder than the next person because you have to prove yourself, your worth and everything to show that, hey, I am capable of opportunities in everything. And so you're placed on a ceiling, not a ceiling, but a box, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you're saying. You get thrown into a box and people look at you in a certain way without actually knowing you. There's preconceived notions and judgment. Ashley, what about, because again, I know you talked about that, but you talked about how you've been placed in a box and people don't necessarily accept you.
Right.
What have you been able to find the inverse to that as far as online spaces? Because one thing I do like about the ability to create an online community is that you get access to everyone in the world, right? And so you're more likely to find someone that you have something in common with versus, you in your own little town where everyone might look at you like an outcast or whatever, but there's someone online that's like the exact same as you. Have you been able to grow a bigger community with having access to like an online community versus an in-person community?
I think with online community, how I did it was I started to open up how like my life and daily life and how like trying to educate people. And because honestly, having to mask everything as an autistic person, like growing up, like I said, having to mask everything so I could try to fit in and stuff, it got very exhausting because, and then of course, I have experienced ableism in the real world, you know, and being told I don't look autistic, which is actually an ableism language. But in the online community, since I have opened up about it, I've had people come in and say like, you know, what you're doing is very brave. What you're doing is, you know, just like the positive outcome just because it's like, when you start to finally be able to be yourself and start to like, yes, it takes a lot to open up because I would say it took a lot for me to open up because online you have a lot of like cruel people online that will like, they'll turn like their, what's it called? Drake said, turn your trigger fingers into Twitter fingers or the blue app.
Oh yeah. Thumb thugs, internet warriors. Absolutely. You see a lot of that with a lot of people who are a lot braver or who will say like the worst things to you online, but they would never say those things in person.
Yeah. So I have to like kind of remember that, but sometimes it's very hard because it's like, a lot of people don't understand words. There's power in words. So you don't know what a person may have gone through to try to overcome certain things. So I feel like for me in the online community, like being able to open up and like listening to other people's stories, but also like hearing like recently hearing like parents of autistic kids, you know, just hearing things, but also for me to open up to the parents of autistic kids, like, look, this is what I've went through as being autistic on the autism spectrum for almost 29 years. Like how how like it was, I think for me, like when you are authentically yourself and finally being able to be free. And yes, you know, a lot of people are not going to like say your true self because like they're used to like the filtered version. They're used to like saying, you do what I say and we'll like you. But I think
you're able to find who you are and be who you are unapologetically versus just accepting who they want you to be.
Exactly. And I think another thing too is representation and inclusion. Like I said, representation and inclusion to me really matters the most just because, like I said, you can, like, first of all, shout out to you, Santana. I've been watching you for the longest time. I love what you're doing, for real. And I say, like, when I say representation, inclusion matters because it's like somebody can look up to you, right? And people can look up to you with everything, like, you know, see what you're doing and say, or if they hear your story, and they may be going through what you've been through or what you're currently going through. And I think that like is the biggest thing in my community is showing like kind of open, like I said, opening up and sharing like, hey, like if I can do it.
No, absolutely. I get what you're saying. And I do think like there's a lot to it as far as being able to finding representation is something that I think is super important and being able to see yourself in whether it be successful people, successful situations, successful scenarios, seeing people that are like you, that may deal with some of the struggles that you may have, that may look like you, that may talk like you. I think all of those are super important. And I do think that's like a huge positive for when it comes to, you know, having that online presence and even building that online community. Perfect. All right, Ashley, thank you. Irma, I want to come to you. I want to kind of loop it all the way back around, and I want to talk to you about the online spaces. And Irma, what because you mentioned a couple of different online spaces, and it sounds like you've been engaged with online spaces a lot before. My question for you is, have you ever seen a space that was created to be a positive place, but then it somehow shifted from a positive place to a place that it becomes toxic and people get harmed from spending time in that space?
Oh, yes, definitely. And one of those spaces I forgot to mention, but you and I both are in to an extent, which is anime.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just destructive those spaces can be.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people just get very upset over the slightest thing. I could say that, like, Gojo is not the best anime character ever, and people want me.
I'm sorry, Irma. I think that was an accident. Please go ahead.
I was saying that, you could just say something as simple as Gojo is not like the best anime character, and people will literally want to hunt you down. Mm-hmm. It can get very toxic and crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you do in those situations? Because I know personally, and, I'm not going to name names, but I know when I first got on to TikTok, right, and I started engaging in spaces, there was a space that I genuinely loved being in, right? I was engaged in the space, and there was a creator who I thought was absolutely amazing, and I spent a lot of time in that space. But the more time that I spent in that space and engaging with the people, I realized, like, hey, this isn't it, right? These people aren't who they say they are. The space isn't what it's supposed to be. And at that point, I said, even though I have a presence in the space, right? I'm always around. I'm starting to pull myself away because I know for a fact that this isn't something that I want to deal with. But also, two, I felt a pressure to still kind of be there, right? To still kind of show face, even though I'm And so it became a toxic relationship for me where I couldn't just pull away, but I really wanted to. How does that work for you?
For me, I try not to get too involved with people, and I try to make sure that I don't do it too quickly, because in my experience, I turn 50 next month, right? And in my experience, I've noticed that people are just too quick to call people they don't know, and sometimes even strangers that they've only talked for a short time with, maybe a few minutes, friends. And it throws people off when I tell them and we're talking and I'm like, we are not friends. We don't know each other. And so I'm not going to tell you certain details about my life. I'm not going to get too personal with you because I don't know you. And I am very, very protective of my family, especially my children, because, people are mean, people are nasty, people are crazy. I've had people who didn't even know me walk up to me and say some crazy stuff. So can you imagine being in an online space and someone's getting angry at you? And didn't we just see I think it was a month ago where that lady drove 3 hours to go find that dude? Yeah. So yeah. I'm just people need to really think about where they are and who they're talking to and what they're talking about. And just try to keep that distance because you don't know these people. And I'm not saying that you can't be friends with people. I'm just saying that if it's in a big space like TikTok or Facebook or something, maybe keep certain things to yourself until you actually establish an actual relationship with someone. And then maybe you can start revealing a little bit more about yourself. But you've got to think about your own safety first.
Yep. I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree. I think that's so important to understand, not only creating those boundaries, but making sure that you feel safe, you feel comfortable, and also understanding while you may want to actually engage with certain people, it's not always a good thing to just go full tilt. Building those boundaries and then saying like, hey, if you earn a little bit more, I'll give a little bit more. So I think that's a great thing. All right, perfect. Thank you, Irma. All right, guys. So I want to kick it around the panel one more time, and I'm going to start to swap people out. So if you are in the request and you want to join the conversation, go ahead and hang tight. I'm going to start bringing people in, new people. We're going to swap some of the current people on the panel out, and we're going to bring in some new people. So if you want to join the conversation, go ahead and jump in the box. If you are someone that's enjoying the live, keep tapping the screen, share the live. Guys, we're not even at 100,000 likes yet. Tap the screen. Also, we have the daily gift goal, which is the little finger hearts. And if you would like to support the live, like Amanda sent a $5 donation and said, thank you so much for providing this space. Amanda, thank you so much for the $5 donation. You're absolutely, absolutely amazing. If you'd like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links and Linktree in the bio. Santana speaks for you. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. All right, Jillian, I'm coming to you. I would love to hear your answer on this, and then I'm going to go ahead and swap you out. But Jillian, one thing that I have become super wary of when it comes to online spaces is not only toxic people within these spaces, but a lot of people somehow, they create these hierarchies with these cult-like figures, or you get into a Discord and someone is like the leader of the group and they become like the leader of the mean girls team or whatever. How do you, as an adult, as a parent, as a mother, how do you prepare your child for engaging in these type of spaces where they can get into an environment where they think it's positive and they think there's someone that they can either look up to or connect with, and really it's someone that's going to be leading them down the path to destruction?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like my daughter's actually better than that than I would be. I'm lucky because she's brilliant. When people start to pull that kind of stuff with her, she just blocks them. She's like, I'm over it. I'm done.
Block game too strong.
She doesn't put up with anything. But if I weren't that lucky, I would probably just have to do a lot more monitoring and just, keep an eye and be like, this seems a little toxic. Do you know this person? Like, how well do you know what's going on here? I don't know. Again, I got lucky with my kid. Yeah. I know if all this online stuff was around when I was her age, I would have been in trouble.
Yeah, no, listen, I completely understand that. And I'm there. I think about often how my boys interact, because I have young boys, and how they interact with Roblox. And I think about the Roblox servers and all this other stuff. So I get exactly where you're coming from that position. But anyway, Jillian, thank you so much for coming up. Thank you for hanging out tonight. I'm going to go ahead and swap you out. Okay?
Oh, of course. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thank you. Guys, again, I'm going to start bringing people in just a moment. So if you're interested in joining the panel, get in the box. And Jarrett, coming to you. Jarrett, you have actually been super interesting to me because you're someone who has come into our community and not only immerse yourself within our community, you become a pillar within our community really fast. And it's super interesting to see the connections that you've built, the actual leadership that you've taken on, and how you've tried to establish yourself as a positive person within the community. Why did you do that, and how were you able to do that?
First of all, let me get these damn onions away from me. God dang it, dude. I'm the one that's supposed to make you feel awkward with praise. So I'm going to explain this with a little story. Minor trigger warning for anyone out there. So when I was 21, so I'm 41 now, going to be 42, my father passed. His final words to me were literally, one, put into the world the love that you want returned to you, and that all people are worthy of love. There are some people that I now will disagree about there with him, but that people are worthy of love and deserve to be treated as such. And whether online or in the real world, that is how I try to approach every interaction with people. I have always been that type of person that whether it's a curse or not, I can see the good in all people, and I want everyone to see that as well and support them and build them up and understand that they don't have to feel alone or feel left out or feel discouraged, because I've been there. Ashley's story speaks to me because, I have not been able to get diagnosed with autism or ADHD my entire life. I was one of the gifted kids that slipped through the cracks in the 90s because of intelligence, but I've had to mask my entire life because I have been made to feel different. And through that and other trauma, I've decided that I don't want anyone else to feel that way. Yeah. So it's kind of like what Robin Williams said, he said that about his depression. He doesn't want anyone else to feel that way.
I'll just say, like, I think there's so much to be said about someone who thinks of other people first, and not just thinking of other people first, but through your actions and through your light, you live the positivity that people try to exemplify. And Jared, you're someone that I know, I know some of the things that you're going through, and I know some of the things that you're dealing with. But even more so, it always brightens my day every single day that I get to interact with you, because you're always so positive, you're always so insightful, you're always so thoughtful. And I think that's like one of the most positive things for me, as far as being able to have a community with people, is to meet people like you. And so, Jared, I want to say thank you for coming up on the panel. Thank you for being you. Thank you for everything that you do and the way that you engage. But thank you for being, in my opinion, what community should always be about.
Thank you. You make it easy in this community. But I will also say, as a former defensive end, I know how to just push myself in there and say hi.
I know that's right. Cut straight through. All right, Jared, I'm going to drop you down. Thank you so much for coming up. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Again, guys, I am bringing new people in on the panel. So if you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and get in the box. We are rotating people in and out now. Paul, I want to come to you. Paul, you are 35 and you sound like a kind of a distinguished gentleman. And I guess the question I would have for you is, what advice would you give your 16, 17, 18-year-old self if you had to exist in this current time, in this current internet bubble that we live in? Because people are now dealing with things that you and I didn't have to deal with in our age. Mm-hmm. And it seems like there's a lot of young people struggling to deal with not only toxic online communities, but parasocial relationships and, fallout from this, that, or the third. What advice would you give your younger self that would actually be beneficial to not only your younger self, but any young person today?
Man, that's so deep, because I've coached and mentored a youth for a long time. And it's always looking back in retrospect, I don't see what's happening in the moment until it's like years later. But what I would tell myself is make necessary mistakes, and once those happen, make new mistakes. Because if I continue to make old mistakes, which I have, and I've done so over and over again throughout my life, where I've made the same mistake, knowing that it was going to result in the same outcome. It's no longer I think it's a choice at that point for me. So
Stop.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I would definitely tell my younger self, learn from your mistakes, and then if you can, learn from other people's mistakes as well.
Yeah. You know, I love the saying, what is it? A smart man learns from his mistakes, but a wise man learns from others' mistakes. Mm-hmm. And I think it's our responsibility as we get older to teach younger people to learn from what we've done and to give that proper guidance. And I think like this time right now, where we are in this bubble, it's so important to ensure that we're giving that guidance and support, and we're looking to build communities instead of tearing people down. Like, I think that's super important. I think you just hit it dead on the head. But Paul, thank you so much for coming up and hanging out with us tonight. Thank you so much. I'm gonna drop you down.
All right.
Jonathan, coming to you.
Santana. Okay. So about
Jonathan,
that troll question. Oh, wait, what were you saying?
I actually have a final question for you, and this is a genuine question.
Yep.
Why actually, instead of like engaging with people in good faith online, what's the appeal to the troll? And like, I know you said earlier, like some people think it's edgy or whatever the case may be, but like it seems like, especially at certain points when it happens to, the same people over and over and over, or it's something that's negatively impacting, I would think at some point that you'd be like, this isn't worth it anymore. Why still troll when it's obviously negatively impacting people?
So the reason why people troll, I'm going to use Dean Withers as an example. He has motion.
Creators' names on the panel.
Huh?
We don't talk about other creators on the panel. So okay, you can say other creator. We can say another creator.
Yeah, we could even talk about you, for example. You have motion. I mean, people troll because, there's an audience. Some people in the audience are going to laugh. It also gets some followers. Very slowly it does. Like per troll, and I used to troll, I'll get like 7 to 8 followers. And I think people also do that to build accounts, and essentially trolling just like one huge community. And it's mainly just I don't know, it's just trolls of all kinds. Like there's trolls that act like grandpas and grandmas. There's trolls that go into other people's lives, like trolls of every kind. It's all just one big community.
You said something that was super interesting to me just now, and you said, to gain followers or build up or whatever. Question. What if you used your voice, right? What if instead of engaging in trolling, you look for something that you are good in, or you look for something that maybe you could share with people and see if you could attract people to you, versus doing something that I'm going to call it a negative, because one, I don't like trolls, but two, like when people are trolling, they tend to destroy the flow of whatever's happening. So why not look for other alternatives outside of trolling?
So like people don't have the brain span for that. There's just a lot. I'm trying to think here. Let's just say I'm trolling someone. I do it just because it's like a quick, also like the dopamine, it is fun. That's what like a lot of the people like. They go for that, and if like the more edgier thing they say is like more dopamine, I guess.
But you don't see how that's a toxic connection, and that calls like you getting a thrill off shock and awe at the expense of other people. Like that's a negative, right?
It is, but like the people don't care about that. Like I'm just being honest. The trolls, they aren't gonna care about the negative, or they're not going to care about any of that. They do it because it's fun. And with that whole building up a community thing, yeah, using your voice is right. But like some of these people, A, they don't want to do it. B, they don't like have the motivation to. Maybe they feel embarrassed if they do something that people don't agree with. I mean, a lot of it comes with like being a leader and all that. I mean, with that, using your voice, obviously you have to.
Have you ever thought about being a leader and breaking not only yourself away from that, but like looking to break others away?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really troll like that anymore. I mean, I still like do trolling, but not in that like very toxic sense. But like, yeah, I actually have, I left a lot of my trolling groups because of the stuff they're doing. It just didn't match my views, like spamming the N-word and all of that. I don't believe in that hatred just because of a skin color. So I left a lot of those just because of how toxic they were.
Let me, I'm going to say one last thing, and this is me being completely honest with you, Jonathan. You are actually the inspiration, partial inspiration behind this topic, right? And when I say you, I mean specifically the interaction that you and I had when it came to like just getting to know you, and when you joined the live and you were a troll. But then I saw something in you, in the sense that it seemed like you were someone that was looking for something. You were looking for a community. You were looking for something that you could be a part of. And honestly, I still see that. And I don't know if you've gotten this entire time that I've had you up here, but I'm really hoping that one, you'll stick around as far as like maybe hang out a little bit more, learn a little bit more about the community, learn a little bit more about what we do and what we try to build here, because I think you would benefit from it. You're literally one of the people that I had in mind when I came up with this topic for this conversation. And I think there's a lot that you can learn. And I'm hoping that throughout this week, not only will you be able to sit back, listen, and learn, but hopefully we can have a couple more conversations and your mind will start to shift as far as the way that you think. Because I promise you, like engaging in trolling is harmful. Engaging in like negatively impacting people or looking for negative attention, like that's harmful. And I saw how you seem to be a young man. And I'm just telling you what I saw when you and I interacted. You immediately seemed like you were someone that was looking for community. And that's why I've continued to engage with you this whole time. Like the only reason that I've continued to actually go back and forth and engage with you is because you seem like someone that's not only worth it, because you're worth it as a person, but you seem like a young man that would benefit from community. And so I want to have you in this community. So hopefully you'll be able to listen a little bit more this week. Hopefully you'll come back. Hopefully we'll be able to have more conversations. And hopefully by the end of this week, you'll look at things a little bit differently.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I have a community already, but like I'm open-minded. I'm not just going to bash your beliefs just because we differ. I mean, I have no problem with the left. I'm going to be honest. I mean, sometimes I'll get
no. And see, this isn't about left or right? This isn't about politics. And in this space that I hold, the community that I have isn't about politics. Yes, I debate politics, but the community that I have is apolitical, right? I mean, it's literally about people. So like, while everyone may not agree, some people may be further left, some people might be moderate, hell, some people might even be conservative. The community that I'm establishing and what we believe in is a community that cares about people. And again, the only reason that I've entertained you, because you've seen me on lives. I don't suffer fools. I don't think you're a fool, but I do think that you're a young man that needs community. So anyway, I'm going to drop you down. Just stick around, hopefully, and we'll do a little more.
All righty. Well, nice talking to you.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Ashley, coming to you.
Yes, sir.
Ashley, the last question I would have for you is, how do we actually connect with people, right? And I know this question is for you specifically because I feel like you're the right person to do it. Making friends are hard. making friends, making connection, that's hard. And actually creating a community and finding like-minded people can be very hard. How do you actually do that in a positive way without shifting towards the negative? Similar to what Jonathan was just talking about, how do you do that in a positive way where it's productive for you and other people that you interact with?
So, my thing is I socialize a lot, which there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of misconceptions. I talk about this too on my thing. There's a lot of misconceptions with people with autism. Like, a lot of people think that autistic people are just by themselves. They keep to themselves. While there are some, I happen to be, say, the social butterfly. So trying to make friends, or just because of my personality, or just because I like certain things. Like, I love sports. I'm a huge basketball person. I played it and everything. So how I connect with people is just doing my own research and speaking their language, speaking what they love. And I think how to connect with people from different walks of life is just listening, to be honest. It's just listening and just get a better understanding, because, you don't want to know everything. Like, nobody's going to know everything and everything, right? And I think for me, just researching things, what somebody may like, what somebody may not like, and also listening. I hope I'm answering this question correctly.
You are. No. You absolutely are. And I do think there's something about a personable touch, right? And I say this all the time. Like, whenever I'm doing any type of interview or whatever, the thing that I always say is, it's when I used to work, the first job right out of college, I worked in a call center for a tech company, and I was taught to fix the person first, and then you can fix the issue, right? And I've always taken that with me as far as like making that personable connection before you move forward in any other way. And like I when you said, actually doing research and actually putting forth that effort and putting yourself out there, and like that really connects to me, and it speaks to the ability to move forward in a positive direction and look at people as like a person, as a human, versus just an avatar or whatever. So I think that's massive. But Ashley, thank you so much for coming up. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening.
Can I add another thing? Sir, can I add another thing too? So, and I think another thing too is, like, when a lot of people, like, like I said, when you walks of life, but also like teaching them like certain things, because some people may be uneducated about certain things. So like when you're able to teach them, and also like very personal, I'm big on personal, because I believe it costs nothing to be kind, first and foremost. Yep. I'm big on empathy. I'm being empathetic. Like, that is my biggest trait, because, like, you never know what somebody is going through. You may not understand what somebody is going through, but you're going to be you're there to listen, because I feel like when you are empathetic too, and I also bring this to, in a way, is there's a difference between awareness versus acceptance in ways. Yeah. Awareness is like saying, that person has this, of that this person may, have this, but it's like almost little to none you plan on kind of researching. So it's like toleration. But acceptance is like, what that person may have what this person may have, but you may not understand what they're going through, but you appreciate them and you're empathetic, and it also, acceptance leads to inclusion. So it's like, for me, like I said, I believe in saying listening to somebody because like I said, there's a difference between listening to somebody and hearing somebody. There's a whole difference. Yeah. So, but
yeah, and I completely agree with that. And I think there's always people listening to respond versus people actually listening to engage in what the person is saying, what the person is dealing with, what the person is feeling. And to your whole point, like finding that understanding and finding that actual personable connection, that like real why as far as what that person is about, I think that's huge. But anyway, Ashley, I'm gonna swap you out. Thank you so much for coming up and hanging out with us tonight.
Thank you, Santana.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
All right. And guys, again, we are swapping people in and out. So if you are interested in joining the conversation, get in the box. I will be bringing more people in after I'm coming to Irma. And after Irma, I got a couple quick thank yous and we're going to do introductions. And then I'm going to immediately kick it to Kay because I have something that I want Kay to really dig into. Irma, coming to you. The question I have is, as someone who's seen the different online spaces and communities and people and how that has impacted, different people in different ways, what's the one advice that you would give anyone who's looking for a community as far as like, this is what you should look for and this is what you should watch out for?
I would say, well, okay, what I usually do when I join a community, a new one, whether it's like a book club or anything like that, is, of course, I introduce myself, let people know who I am, but then I sit back and watch and listen. That's going to tell you what the vibe is in general. That's going to tell you, you can pretty much see who's who and what's going on, and if this is something that you feel comfortable being around. And if you don't feel good enough to be there, it's probably not a good place for you to be. And that can work for any situation, whether it's a church or a new school or whatever. You just read the room, basically. Read the room, feel the vibes. If it feels a little bit off, maybe you should pull back a little bit. You don't have to leave immediately, but maybe just pull back a little bit and absorb a little bit more. And if you're still not sure, ask questions. Yeah. And if you're still not sure, then maybe it's not for you.
Yeah, no, listen, I agree. The one thing that I try to always do is trust my gut. And if something feels off, then I don't ignore that. My wife is way better at that than me, but I completely agree. And I think that's excellent advice. And just because you kind of interact doesn't mean that you have to commit completely. So I'm right there with you. But Irma, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight. I appreciate you. And I'm going to go ahead and swap you out. Okay.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed being here.
Thank you. All right, guys. 2 quick thank yous, or 3. Sorry. Debbie's in the chat for Renegade for the $5 super chat to say the panelist is speaking my truth. I too am on the spectrum and slipped through those same cracks in the 90s. Talking about Jared earlier. I apologize. I'm just now getting to this, but Debbie's in the chat for Renegade for that $5 super chat. Debbie's in the chat for Chase. What up, Chase? For the $10 donation, saying thank you for having this topic. It's so important. I'm 37 and I've been in online communities for 29 years. LOL. So much to say. Chase, freaking get up here. Get up here, Chase. Debbie's in the chat for Belly, who sent a $10 donation saying for the amazing live with Sean today. Yes, brunch with my creator was freaking awesome. It was so great. If you guys missed it, it is on the YouTubes. So make sure you go ahead and check that out. Guys, if anyone else would like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. If you're everything is accepted, anything's appreciated. Guys, keep tapping the screen. Let's get the likes up to 200,000 likes. Do all the wonderful things. This is Late Night with Santana. Late Nights with Santana. If you are interested in joining the panel discussion, get in the box. We are talking about online communities and spaces. So if you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and request up. We are bringing people in and out. With that being said, we're going to do a quick roundtable to actually introduce the new people on the panel. And then I'm going to kick it to Kay because we have a really important topic that I want Kay to dig into. Really quick, Noah, starting with you. Noah, what are your thoughts on online spaces and community? And are you a part of any online spaces and community outside of ours? I'm going to claim you.
I appreciate that. It's good to see you. So yeah, I've been on TikTok lives recently, like, cause I've had this app since it first came out, but like I was not on like the political side of TikTok. So I've been in like a lot of like communist spaces, also like geopolitics stuff, just trying to stay informed on here. Prior to that, you mentioned COVID-19. I don't know if you were there for Clubhouse. But
I've heard about it, but no.
Yeah, it's kind of like this, right? But without video capabilities. So I was on there in similar types of spaces. Used to be heavy on Twitter before Elon bought it. I think I've had really good engagements with people for the most part. I've learned a lot of things. I've met some of these people in real life that I've, like built communities with online. But of course, I think they're also like a vessel for like radicalization, like right-wing radicalization that's really violent and dangerous, especially for young people, like you were saying. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. 1 second here. Angel, coming to you. Angel, what are your thoughts on online spaces and communities, and are you a part of any?
Hi, Santana. It's good to see you again.
Likewise.
Well, currently I participate a lot in like gaming communities, mostly with my friends. Like I don't participate actively as like, posting and stuff like that. The music scene too. I love going to concerts. I love like heavy metal and metalcore. So you'll just be seeing me in the mosh pit one of these days, maybe. But yeah, those are the communities that I usually like participate in. And the debate community, because I watch a lot of like content creators to stay more informed with a political like spectrum,
Yep. Okay. Perfect. 1 second here. John, how are you? John, I'm going to give you there you go.
There we go.
You got
it.
You
hear me?
Yep. John,
right.
What are your thoughts on online spaces and communities, and are you a part of any?
Yeah, sorry. I'm part of a couple like sports communities, like just racing out politics stuff, gaming, stuff like that. Thoughts on like some communities, it's like they're all right. It's just kind of hard to find ones that aren't really annoying. Like being part of sports communities, they're very some people can be very weird. So it's kind of hard to be active in a lot of those communities,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. I think that I've never gotten to be a part of like gaming communities because I always game by myself, but I completely understand that, and I hear where you're coming from. Perfect. 1 second here. Kat, how are you? Kat, are you there? Kat, you just came off mute. Can you hear me? Okay. Kat, I'm gonna drop you down. If you want to request back up and join, you definitely can. Swan, hi Swan.
Hello, Santana. Hey, panel. Hey, chat.
Hi. Swan, what are your thoughts on online communities and spaces? I know you're a part of some, but where do you normally fall?
Anything that has to do with just paying attention to Black people. Usually I like to be in spaces where there's Black people from other parts of the world. To me, I think that's really important. Growing up in a predominantly white area, I have never really had the opportunity to have these in-depth discussions with Black people in other parts of the world. That's definitely changed my life in many ways and made me see things differently. And we've also been able to participate in assisting people. Like, y'all know, we assist people in Sudan, the Congo, Libya, in many places, and I'm sure that's going to expand even more. But yeah, that's usually where I'm at. I don't really do, I don't have many other, I have an Instagram, but that's only for musicians. I'm a musician. I play the saxophone, so I use Instagram for that. But outside of that, I don't really do too much else online.
Okay. Perfect. All right. And so I'm coming to Kay, but we're going to do something a little bit different. But first I want to say, Debbie's in the chat for Mima Forever. Mima Forever sent a $10 donation and said, much love to you. Mima, thank you so much for the $10 donation. You're freaking awesome. Guys, if you enjoy the live, if you enjoy the information, education, entertainment, and you want to help support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links in the link here in the bio. Santana speaks for you. Everything is accepted. Anything's appreciated. Kate, I'm going to give you the floor. I'm not even going to go into that question for you. I want you to talk about one of my most, I don't know if it's my favorite topic, but it's something that's super interesting and something that has grown through the connections that we have with being online. The more access we have to people, the more we are able to see people through these screens, the more that we somehow think that we know people or we have different bonds or whatever to people. And that's parasocial relationships. So, Kay, I'm going to give you the floor.
Hi, everybody. Panel, chat. Yeah, when we talk about parasocial relationships, they have, pitfalls and they do have benefits. I think that when we talk about the benefits, we find that there's a loneliness quotient that gets sometimes balanced out with, meeting people who are like-minded or share interests and hobbies. It helps with people who are maybe very introverted and, find other people who are also introverted, but they can then share those hobbies. But the pitfalls I like to discuss tonight because we can go over the benefits when we have more people who were kind of, and I kind of hope that Jonathan's still listening, but we can talk more about the positives because I think that is a need for some community. But the pitfalls are assuming that because you donate or because you follow someone or because you watch them every day, that they in turn know who you are. They know who they think about you outside of the community that you're in, or that the creator has made, especially when we talk about lives and things like that. And it becomes dangerous when those feelings aren't quite reciprocated back. And so then it leaves that person with a feeling. It can also happen with non-fictional characters. If you read series, you just develop these bonds with people that are not reciprocal. So when you start off when you meet somebody in real life, that's a tangible two-way relationship from the get-go. Someone can stop and end it at any time, or they can continue it. Online, it's very one-sided, and people forget that one side, and they think that they're in a friendship or in some type of relationship with that person because they see them. They think they know them. They think they know what happens behind the scenes in their real life, their work, all of those things. So there are a lot of times where we need to remember that creators give us what they give us. They're either, education, entertainment, combination of both. They might be into the things that we're into, if it's sports or niche things. And so we just need to remember that we don't know them, and that keeps you safe. It's not so much, but it also keeps creators safe. So I don't know how much more you want me to take it, but that's kind of like a baseline that not all parasocial relationships are bad, but they can be harmful, especially when you take the humanity out of it. When people forget that the people that you're reaching out to or, talking to or having conversations with, it can be harmful when you take their humanity away from them and then just treat them as like this thing that they assume that they know all the way through.
So I do want to, I have a follow-up question, but first, Angel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, for some reason I've been trying to mute you, but it won't allow me to mute you, and I can hear the controller clicking. Can you try to mute yourself, please? No worries.
Yes.
No worries.
Let me see.
There we go. All right. Kay, I guess one follow-up question I have, it's always super interesting to me when people not only create parasocial relationships, but like how, to your point, there's a lack of understanding or a lack of the quote unquote humanity. That's why like brunch with my creator, this is like one of my favorite things to do. And it's literally about the one of my favorite lines in the song is, it's the human side of the screen, right? And people tend to, I never realized this until I got to a certain amount of time of doing this, where people look at like this as, oh, this is my TV show, or, oh, this is my, series or whatever. And they tend to look at certain people, especially certain people that you interact with, as like characters from your favorite show, right? And they start to say like, oh, the Swan has a guest appearance on Santana's live tonight or something like that. And they start to draw those kind of correlations to what we used to see a lot on TV. And I think it's, at least for myself, I've shifted away from watching more television to interacting more online and watching lives, even in my free time, right? I watch live streams. I listen to live stream as I, clean up, or I cook, or if I play games or whatever. Has that actual, or would you say that actual removal of like television or whatever, and putting people into the sense where they're now watching something that they don't necessarily feel is real, is something that leads to parasocial relationships? Or what do you think some of those catalysts are?
So the catalysts are just like how we used to watch TV. And I'm probably the oldest one on the panel, but approaching 50, I've lived through like, before the internet to, all the way to now. So like watching TV is one of those things that we did, or like, oh, my favorite program's on, I got it, let's see what's happening, And I think that happens. We do see that comment a lot, like, oh, my favorite show is on, or, people like come in. And I think it's a great way of like, in a healthy way, it would be great. Like, oh, my program's on, like, I'm so happy to be here. And, it is when the humanity is taken away. And even with Brunch with My Creator, which you know how much I absolutely love Brunch with My Creator, and how much I love how well you interview. And you're going to take some flowers right now, because I do think that you have a very good style of interviewing that allows people to share, but not, have to be so vulnerable or say things that are, too personal. It's like a perfect balance. Your interviewing is top tier and I love it. So just like today, having Sean on, there was so much there's so much love, so much, so many good questions and all of that. But Sean gets to decide how much she shares. And, when new people come on Brunch, they don't have to give everything, which reminds us that like we are seeing the humanity behind people. We're learning about how they, maybe came through social media, how they, work through social media, but it is still at the end of the day, social media. And so it does have to be a careful way of doing it. And I think some of the things that sit in the way of the parasocial side for the harmfulness thing is when you are so vulnerable and in such a place that people who I think start out genuinely with good hearts and kindness now decide how you get treated moving through spaces. And so if you do something that they don't like, they feel they know you. And that's how we see like what happens in servers, what happens, you know, in certain live spaces. It's because people truly don't know one another, except for people who have, you know, off app real relationships, who know about people's backgrounds, know about where they came from, like all of those things. As soon as someone says something that doesn't fit the box, well, that person's harmful, or that part, you know, all of that. So it's really difficult to, you know, pinpoint all of the things, but it is definitely about losing that humanity for people and only thinking of people through the screen, which is why I love the intro so much. I really think it speaks more, you know, to that. And, you know, I think it speaks to, and I know like sometimes I come up during sparring or, you know, and we just kind of had it happen that something happened in another space. And then there was an influx of people who flooded over, not taking time to recognize the conversation that was happening, recognize, you know, things that were happening, decided to, you know, not see the humanity that was happening, and then just decided that what they needed was the thing that needed to be said right then and there. And also, I mean, in that scenario, somebody who's important, you know, to you, that's in real life a friend, is going to always come to you and talk to you about that kind of thing. Why people who aren't actual friends or are in a parasocial relationship do that, that's when we hit that the harmfulness.
Yeah. So for me, and Kay, you know how I am. I don't really. I don't let those things faze me, but I always worry about like other people's spaces and how people coming from one space to the other space affects certain spaces. And so like that's always something that I'm super mindful of. And like just now, I don't even want to talk about it. I wasn't going to bring it up, but you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, I grabbed my phone, took a look at my phone. There was nothing. So I was like, it's nothing. Right. But I do think that a lot of people, whether it's a sense of like, I know this person and I have to do this or I have to do that, like it's something, but I don't know. I think when those lines are kind of blurred, it becomes really hard. Okay, this is what I want to do because with late nights, guys, unfortunately, we have shifted unfortunately, we've shifted late nights from 3 hours to 2 hours, but we've stretched it from 3 nights to 4 nights. So still the same amount of time, just more condensed, the time that we have in that block. So I do want to say massive freaking W's in the chat for Denise. Massive, a million W's in the chat for Denise for the $50 donation. Denise said in the YouTube chat, I'm Bear. I'm going to have to look for you, Bear. Thank you so much for the $50 donation. I've been a long time supporter because I uplift factual education and positive engagement. You're a teacher. I don't know if I would say that. Like Kay is a teacher. I'm just a messenger. You're a teacher, Santana, best kind of educator, mad respect. Bear, thank you so much for the $50 donation. That goes a long way in supporting the live and keeping us able to do what we do here. W's in the chat for Bear. If anyone else likes to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links and link in the bio. Santana speaks for you. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. Swan, gotta come to you. You are someone that while you do engage with certain spaces, you know the responsibility and the burden of having your own space and cultivating a space that is not only inclusive but accepting. I'll never forget, because so Kay is really good as far as like having me like mindful of the things that I should or shouldn't do or whatever. But I'll never forget that like I truly learned to be mindful of trigger warnings from your space. right? And more so like how adamant you are about protecting the mental of the people that engage in your space. So I'm just going to kind of open it up a little bit more to you. Why is it so important for you to not only create a space with things that's so important to you, but to create a safe space where people can actually trust that they will be protected in your area?
I think for me, a lot of it comes from, because when I first joined TikTok, it was years ago. I didn't really start going live until August of 2024, but I had been on the app since I want to say like 2022 or 2021. So I had watched a lot of spaces. And I think I really learned just like kind of how it works, right? Where you have people in the comments section and then you have people on the panel and paying attention to both of those things. And then being a moderator in a lot of spaces. You know, for me, I always understood that, like, yes, we are laughing up here. We're joking around sometimes. I like to laugh in my space often, but, you know, we'll be joking around about certain things. But I think because we're behind a screen, people don't necessarily take the humanity factor into consideration the same way that they would if they were in person. So I do think it's important to remember that if we talk about a particular subject, there may be somebody in the audience, especially if you got more than 50 people in your comment section, right? There may be somebody in the audience that could be harmed by certain things that, you know, people say. So for me, I think it's important to still keep that, like, make sure I take that into consideration as if I was like face to face with a person. And then I think also just taking into consideration the other things that people say too. So like with the moderators, we talk on the back end a lot. And, you know, we'll just say, like, be mindful. We got to make sure we're mindful of this or mindful of that. And I think I've seen the audience kind of grow organically because we're taking people's experiences into consideration. So for me, I think that's really important. But I think a lot of that comes from me observing a lot of spaces first when I got to the app, and then making sure I remember that in my space as well and set those boundaries. And when I mess up, I apologize. And then I work to do better the next time if I do mess up. So. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny. I do see, like, someone says Swan runs her space flawless, but like I see the symmetry between like you and your mods, but also the ability to like course correct in real time and to like make sure that you're always on it. I guess one last follow-up question I would have is, what advice would you give to new people, not necessarily just new people in your space, but new people in any type of spaces? Because a lot of people, Kay made the point, is like people just come in, don't read the room, and they just like do whatever. To your point, you've been around, you've seen different people, you've seen different spaces, you've modded, you've done all this. What advice would you give these people to, like, hey, if you actually want to be a part of a space, a part of a community, you need to do this?
Can you say the last part one more time?
Yeah, what advice would you give people who are like, if you want to be a part of this space, if you want to be a part of this community, then you need to do this?
One thing that I always talk about is, because our conversations are rooted in like knowledge, like real knowledge. And I think that that's something that is important. I always tell everybody to make sure, like, no matter like what I say or anybody else on the panel says, to make sure that they're doing their own research outside of it as well. Like, I encourage that all the time. And I think that people who are taking that seriously, they do the work outside of the space, and you see that they end up coming back more and more. So I think that that's, you know, I think we've kind of, I guess, created a relationship with the viewers in that aspect. And then now the other thing too is like having a Discord server. I was kind of nervous about it. But so far it's, you know, it hasn't been terrible. We've maybe had like one mishap that I was, you know, we were on top of right away and took care of. But yeah, I think that that's something that that people should really think about, is like, what type of impact do you want your space to have on people? So for me, it's people educating themselves. I think it's people talking about these things and having difficult conversations, but also like moving forward with that knowledge and applying that knowledge as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's always a good thing, because I mean, one of the reasons why people come into spaces is because it resonates with them, but also they look to actually gain something. And so educating yourself is super important, Noah, I'm going to come to you. Speaking of educating, I will say the first time that you and I ever interacted, it was on one of my panels, and I just listened to you speak, and I was like, this is one of the smartest young men I've ever come across. And since then, you become a pain in my side. But anyway, the question that I have for you, though, is how do you make a decision whether or not a space is worth you continuing to be a part of? Because you are someone that adds a lot to any room or area that you're in. How do you make a decision whether, not saying oh, I'm too good to be with these people, but how do you make a decision where you want to put your time?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, thank you so much. I would say I've been thinking about this a lot actually as of late, because I've been moving a little bit different on this app. I've been entering some liberal spaces. I know Swan knows. And, these are people who largely are kind of ideologically opposed to a lot of the things that I believe in. And so I have to consider a lot of things. One of them is that I know I'm coming from a place where the ideology and beliefs that I hold are pretty fringe in the context of the United States. And so I am careful about trying not to alienate people, because I do think there is productive work to be done in terms of bringing people in, right? And it's not a belief that came easily for me, because I do think I can fall into, I don't know about tribalism, but I didn't want to enter spaces with people that I'm ideologically opposed to. That's not really something I enjoy doing on here. I don't debate folks and stuff. But yeah, in disrupting some of these narratives that I encounter, in the liberal spaces that I've been in, it's made me recognize that people hold beliefs for all types of different reasons. And so their capacity to be moved towards something towards in my situation, towards liberatory politics, I think it varies. So just being able to kind of change the way that I engage with people. I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. I think Swan is amazing at, reaching people. And I've seen a lot of other people on this app who are really, really good, who share similar ideologies to mine, who are able to kind of assimilate into these spaces. I think the last thing I'll say on this is for me, I'm always trying to walk the balance of not trying to alienate people, but also not sanitizing what I'm saying or diluting what I'm saying for the sake of palatability, right? Because if I'm invested in bringing people towards a more radical politic, it's a very difficult thing to do and still be palatable, because oftentimes what makes an idea radical is the fact that it's not palatable to people. It's not intuitive.
Yeah. No, listen, no, I completely agree. And even more so, I think that leads to how I do things here. We're not going to talk about this one yet, but I think that leads to the heart of what I'm hoping to accomplish throughout the this week and towards the end of the week is how do we actually connect and build, right? The thing that I said that is I want to focus on building bridges instead of building walls, right? And how do you connect with the right people, the right community, and you bring people in and you fight that toxic online presence, and how do you shift that offline to, Noah doing the work, the actual work that will persist offline. But give me a second. I'm going to come back to you. Tish, how are you? Tess, not Tish. Why do I always do that?
I don't know. You enjoy it, I think.
It has to be that. It literally has to be that. Tess.
Sorry.
Tess, I want to get your thoughts on engaging in communities and how you make the decision, kind of similar to Noah, but it's super interesting because you are someone who has not only become a part of our community, but I think the first time I interacted with you, I would have never thought that you would have been an actual part of our community, but you're here, right? You're always here. You're always an actual, it's insane to see. I remember our first conversation. I remember you whispering because your husband and your kids or whatever, and going from there to being such a huge part and still being here in our community. What happened that made you actually want to be here?
I'm somebody who really likes education. Like, I mean, I say that and I was a horrible student in school, but I do like to get knowledgeable on things. And if I feel like I'm not knowledgeable on things, I just feel left out. And when I found your space and I, through other creators, I watched you probably 3 or 4 times, and it was like, whoa, there's this whole other world that I have never realized. And it's led to me now. The late nights with Santana, the brunch with my creator today, all the good stuff. I've joined the Discord and I slammed real hard into the Discord and made a few mistakes, and I've pulled back a little bit, just a bit, so that I can do the work. I'm deep diving into the intersectionality Discord. I have like 4 or 5 pages I'm journaling through. I've got some books. I literally went to Barnes and Noble and asked, where are these books that I can find? And I got the books. I'm halfway through In Her Mother's Gardens. I believe it is. Yeah, I'm trying to do the work, and I want to know more about this because that will only better me, right? It will better me to be able to help everybody else and give people a place of acceptance where I can be accepting more to others.
That's so amazing. And that makes me happy because, again, not gonna lie, I remember I was like, what is this white lady on? Like our first interaction, I was just like, what is this white lady talking about? And like to see like you come from there to here, and to the fact that you actually want to still be here, and not only want to be here, but to continue to engage with not, just the platform, but the people, right? The people in the Discord, the other people in connection that I've seen you around so many other spaces. And it seems like you've actually grown within this community, and then you've expanded out. So like, I'm just super proud of that. Like I'm genuinely super proud of that. And
now my husband's a fan too. He's got me doing the good stuff in the mornings. He asked me this morning.
He's always been asleep at night. You got to get him up here. I haven't talked to him.
He's this morning he woke up and he's like, hey, is that Santana? Did you do all the good stuff? I was like, of course. Yeah. Liking, sending, all that stuff. He goes, you need more gifts? Reload.
That is crazy. I remember you were like whispering, like, my husband's sleeping, so I can't talk too loud. And you would sit on every time you come off mute. Wow, this is what happened. So that's awesome.
I know. I'm sorry.
No. All right, give me a second. I'm going to come back to you.
Yep.
John, I want to come to you. One thing that I think that hasn't been discussed enough is how tribalism breeds outcasts, right? And when people tend to get locked into such a bubble, and they create these echo chambers, and they refuse to allow anyone who is not like-minded inside, and it pushes people further away. Do you think that online tribalism can cause real life consequences?
Oh, okay. This is kind of embarrassing. Can you tell me what tribalism means?
Yeah. No. You're perfectly fine. Tribalism is like when people are, it's kind of like a groupthink situation where they get locked in, and you have to conform, and you have to be like, it's us versus them. Either you're a part of us or you are against us. And you get locked into the sense of like everyone kind of conforms to the same way. One of my favorite tribalism, and it's really niche because I love wrestling, but there are certain people who watch either WWE or they watch AEW, but I watch both. But people like lose their mind because they're like, you can't watch them because you have to watch us. And like, that's tribalism. And a lot of people tend to get locked into like these, like this is, and you see this in the political space, right? Where, someone is, you libs, you liberals, and every space is just da-da-da, or you go in and, you MAGAs or da-da-da, but they can't interact like real people because they're so locked into their tribalism.
Oh, okay. So like, I don't know. it's kind of ridiculous to like think that way of like, oh, you can't talk with us about this because you only like, you know, like this part of thing. Like because I watch wrestling too, right? So like I've seen like the whole WWE AEW discourse of like, oh, you're one of those AEW fans. Yeah, your opinion's totally about the wrestling. You don't know nothing about wrestling type of thing. It's like, I don't know why people limit hearing other perspectives. Like, so it goes to like video games, you know, everything. Because like, there's certain shooting games I like where certain like trilogy stuff, like, oh, if you like one part of the game, you weren't a real fan of this. It's just, I don't get why people limit hearing other perspectives, because like I've played through some trilogies or like some game series where I didn't like one game and they gave a different perspective of like why you should like it. Completely changed my mind on it. It's like, example, Life is Strange series, very niche. Not a lot of people know it. Some of those games in that series are complete dog trash. You know, I'll say it, but like one of the games I hated has become one of my favorite ones just by listening to other people talk about it and you know say like.
Hold on. So I want to make sure, because I want to be really pointed with this question, and we're also kind of, and I apologize it took so long. I want to make sure we're being cautious about time. Do you think that being tribalistic and creating outcasts can have a negative impact in the real world, where people, like, let's say, bully people online, and then people start to push that into the real world?
Oh, 100%. Like, oh shoot, I'm trying to think of. I'm sorry, I'm not used to doing this type of shit, so like it's
no worries. You can hold on. I'll come back and we'll try to wrap you back in. But I really want to see if we can get an answer to that. So hold tight for just a moment. Angel, coming to you. What are your thoughts? Do you think that tribalism can breed real world consequences? Online tribalism can breed real world consequences?
Oh, 100%. And for my background, I want to say, like, you can tell by my accent, but I'm originally from Mexico. Mm-hmm. And in Mexico, there's a lot of communities, online communities, because I started my online life in Facebook. Mm-hmm. I literally created my profile probably 2007. So we're talking about like almost 20 years in the platform. Like, you have seen a lot of things there. Mexico, the way that I can describe it is like earlier they were talking about trolling, and that's something very important that we need to bring to the table. And there's real communities about trolling everywhere, and but that's more prominent in Spanish communities. And there's groups completely dedicated to like troll content creators, people. It's full harassment, full of like posting questionable things. And so like when I was a teenager, I used to see that a lot. Like there was a lot of rivalry, like you say, tribalism, like where you belong in like certain Facebook group, and like you were not supposed to interact with our group, and there were a lot of like fights between them, like doxing, hacking, and awful stuff, really. So
that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I need to do a little bit more research, because I never thought that like, I know about trolling. I didn't know trolling had such like deep lore and like real world implications. That's not even the one that I was thinking with that question, but to hear you say that, like, that is wild.
If you look into a Facebook group called SLDG, it's translated to Sociedad de la Grasa, and in Spanish it's like Society of the Grease, something like that. It's just like a silly group. It was like a whole community, like hundreds. I think it even reached like 100,000 members sometimes. But like they will nuke the groups because like all the questionable stuff they will be doing. So like it was like, it's still alive, but it's not as bad as it used to be.
Okay. Really quick, because thinking about time, and I do I hate to cut a couple of people short, but I do want to, one last question for you. What do you recommend for people that are actually dealing with trolls? Because I know a lot of people will actually engage with them. And for me, I think like engaging with them feeds them. So like, what do you think is the best course of action to just like when it comes to trolls?
The best way to deal with them is actually don't give them a platform. Sometimes like it's fun to actually give them some attention and try to like stop them. The best way is just to not acknowledge them. That has always been my recommendation. Like even if it's like a person you think you can change their mind, like even like in the political debate, I will always suggest never to engage. I mean, like we all know, like someone who is straight up like uses a slur, like it's no one worth having a conversation. But someone like something like might be acting way too disingenuous or something like that. If it's way too obvious, don't interact with them. And if they're sending like DMs, block them. If like literally do not engage.
Yeah. I agree. I think that as starve them of oxygen. I think the form of currency that we live in today is attention. And if people can't get attention, then it drives them insane. So I think you're spot on. But Angel, thank you so much for coming up and hanging out. Noah, Tess, I'm going to drop all three of you down. And I apologize to cut this kind of short. If you guys, again, we're switching from 3 hours to 2 hours. And so we're doing this Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. If either one of you guys want to come back and you want to get first dibs tomorrow, I will have you guys up first and foremost. But I'm going to drop all three of you down, okay?
Yeah, all good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Smitty, what up, bro?
What's going on, man? I always love to have an opportunity to come up, so I wanted to request, and I love the topics that you pick, and I typically am not on late night, but I wanted to come aboard, man. This is excellent.
Listen, I definitely, like, I saw you and I saw you in the request, but you know how it is. Like, anytime I see you down there, I don't want to like hit you and say, get up here. But you know, you're always welcome. I was hoping that you would come up because I think your perspective is going to be absolutely amazing and unique. Let me say this really quick. Debbie's in the chat for Renegade for the $5 super chat to say, speaking on tribalism, the most toxic tribe that isn't MAGA is Star Wars fandom. Fight me. You know what? Like, I've heard that as well. I don't get much into Star Wars, but it's super interesting, like how like really certain quote unquote fandoms can be like really bad. Like it's super interesting. But Debbie's in the chat for Renegade. Again, guys, if anyone would like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Pay links in the link tree in the bio. Santana speaks for you. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I will read that out. If you're over on YouTube, hit that thumbs up. Please, please, please hit that thumbs up. It'll help push out the VOD. And here on YouTube, keep tapping the screen. Last but not least, we're driving to 100,000 followers. So if you look up at the top and you see the word follow, you're not following me, hit that follow button on the main account. And we have the third account here. Make sure you follow the third account. Smitty, I'm going to give you the floor. We have been talking about online communities, and throughout the night we've talked about like how people tend to look for online communities. They look for these spaces and they hope to find something, and sometimes it's super positive, right? Because I know like one thing that I've been blessed with as far as like the community that I've been able to be a part of is we've helped so many people that need help. And it makes me like super proud that we have the ability to pull together whenever to like do things for people that absolutely need it. But then you have the inverse where people engage in like absolute toxic, like online bashing, groupthink, swarming, dogpiling. It's like a whole thing. And people do engage in tribalism. And even more so, I think that when people engage in tribalism, especially when someone's looking for something, we've seen a huge shift towards like people who have become outcasts. But like you can talk about incels, red pill, like the manosphere, like all this other stuff. And it seems to be like someone looking for something. And since they couldn't find something positive, they just went with the negative thing that they had access to. So Smitty, as someone who hosts their own live, that creates their own space, what's important to you when it comes to being able to cultivate a space that people want to engage in, but also what are you seeing with these like online spaces, and how should people handle themselves in these different spaces and places?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I think, what I try to do is make sure, first off, that I'm consistent and well prepared with the stuff that I want to talk about. And for me, I've always approached this, or I've tried to approach this content creation thing as a job, not necessarily as something where, it's quote unquote fun or for whatever else it may be for, but that is really something important to provide a service to folks that are looking for information. So I've always tried to approach it, at least, especially being a moderator from that perspective. But then also understanding that a lot of folks have similar thoughts to me and are looking for a place to connect. And I think Swan said it really well, where you try to show a level of decorum and respect to all of those who are coming in. You're watching for misinformation, you're watching for, personal insults and all that good type of stuff as well. And so I think that does foster a sense of community, because you have a lot of other people who I think are attracted to your space and my space and other people on here that are again looking for good faith debates and discussions. Where the advice that I would give to people, though, is I think you have to be very selective. That's one thing I feel like in the 3 years I've been on TikTok, you have to be very selective in the spaces that you go to, because there are folks that aren't necessarily, as I would say, responsible, and I think that piece of it is really, really important, especially if you don't necessarily have an opportunity to come up on panels and you're just kind of listening from the chat. That would be my biggest piece of advice. Be very, very, very selective. And, Santana, I heard you talking about, trolls and folks that kind of, become outcasts.
Where I was just about to hit you with that question, Smitty. Like, freaking read my mind. Go ahead. I promise you, I thought you was going to stop and go ahead. You got it.
Yeah. No, I think, you guys have already answered it really well. I think you do have to ignore people, because listen, I think like there's a troll for everybody. Like there are content creators. I'm like, you have trolls? I'm shocked, right? And so, there are people that are dedicated to try to make every content creator's life miserable. And so, I do think the best way is to ignore folks. But you know what I think, and rolling into the last topic, the connecting and building, man, I want to tell you this and tell the folks on your platform this. One of the things that I've dedicated myself to in 2026 is going out and doing the work to build community, not just with meeting content creators. But one of the things that bothered me, as you know, I do a lot of work on immigration, right? Mm-hmm. Is that there were more people talking on panels about Keith Porter Jr. than were at his candlelight vigil. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that should never happen. I was there, right? There was some folks I recognized there, but it should never be a situation where there are more people talking about something in the community than are actually in the community doing the work, supporting the people that are really going through it, right? The daughter that lost a father, right? The father that lost a son. That should never happen. And so that's my thing that I kind of always have done, but I'm going to try to emphasize even more in 2026 is actually doing the work from the community and then highlighting people as well that are doing the work.
Ain't no freaking way you just stole all of my thunder, Smitty. Like, what are we doing? So normally I don't let people talk about this one until like the going into the final day or whatever. But like literally, that's what I wanted to have that conversation with. Like, if you take a look at my notes hold on, I'm gonna read my notes. In my notes, it says the goal of the topic to address online spaces and communications with the positive and negative impacts of having by having them or not having them talk about the harmful, talk about why it's harmful to just reject people that you don't understand, and why why we look to build bridges instead of build walls. Talk about the real world implication on online communities and what positive and negative things can come from that. And then address the need to connect on a human level, understanding each other instead of digging in, and find some ways that we make this comfortable and we take online advocacy offline. That's the big piece that I want to make sure that we do. We find that portion where we take it from being just online to offline, because I know for a fact, and like we haven't gotten into this, but one thing that I wanted to talk about was like COVID and the shift that we saw after COVID, and how people really migrated more so to being behind a screen and online all the time. And like, how can we actually still do what we do here and have this community here, but be able to mobilize this community in real life without making a garden or whatever. So like, I think that's super important. And that's exactly where I was going next. Thank you, Smitty. Okay. I want to roll it over to Swan. Swan, what are your thoughts? Because Smitty just hit it on the head, and I completely agree. Like, we have to look at ways that we can mobilize in the real world. And I know that you do. You're like, your current role of mobilizing online literally rolls right into like the real world, and not even just like, oh, what's happening here in the US. Like your online mobilization rolls into like global support. But not everybody's Swan. Not everybody's Daddy Swan. Not everybody's authoritarian Swan, or whatever your name is now. But like, what can people do to at least start to affect their local community from things that they're learning or getting from being online?
I am going to say, I think it really has to start with how you engage with other people. I think online is really easy because we're behind a screen, you know. On the flip side of like it being easy to troll and be negative, it's also easy to engage with people. Like, I don't have to worry about, do I have a hair out of place or something? You know what I mean? Like, when I'm talking to people online, I don't have to worry about any of that. But I do think that like when we have those conversations and we connect with other people, or we learn something from other people, you should have tried to apply that to the real world, right? And I think that should be like the baseline, the starting point. And then I think the more that you engage with other people, you will find that there are people in your area or in your community that are like-minded with you. And I think that it should always, like, it has to turn into you doing something that is productive and beneficial to people. And I'm not even necessarily speaking from like a political aspect, but I mean like helping people with having their needs met, right? If it's somebody that needs food, if there's somebody, because I mean, I've done this when I was in the classroom full time. I was doing that for years, and then I had switched over to a position to where I'm helping people and putting them in touch with different like agencies or organizations within the community that are going to help them stay alive. Like, we talk about, you know, politics and all of these things like that. And I think, but for me, I've always watched as society has kind of like, you know, been having to contend with dealing with less and less and less resources. And I think that's something that's really important. People need they need their basic needs met. So I think that that's something that people can get into offline. But I do think it requires you to have and to know and understand how to build and connect with people, like just at the baseline. Like, hi, I'm so-and-so, you know, who are you? What do you do? I know that sounds really generic or like, you know, simple, but I think that's where it has to start. And then through that, you meet like-minded people, you set boundaries with people, you end up finding yourself in community with people and actually really, truly helping people. But that's got to be coming from a genuine place. So for me, I think that that's a good way to start it off, if that makes sense.
Okay. That just made me think of something. Kay, I'm going to come to you. I have a question for you. But first, really quick, W's in the chat for Gucci. What up, Gucci? Gucci sent a $10 donation, said, I'm so glad Late Nights with Santana is back. Listen, Gucci, I don't know who I've had to hear this more from you, from Kay, from management, or from my mom. But yes, we're finally back. Jeez Louise, okay, we're back. Dang it. W's in the chat for Gucci. Also, Debbie's in the chat for Cat for the $5 donation saying, you deserve your flowers. I don't know about flowers, but thank you so much from, I think it's pronounced Boricha. I see you in the chat, but I know I'm messing up your name, Boricha. Thank you so much for the $5 donation. You're freaking amazing. And again, if anyone else likes to support the live, Santana Speaks for you, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. Kate, Swan just said a thing. And I think about the mobilization and like the way that you can take things and move it from being online to offline and like how it allows you to do so much. But then I think about what you were saying about like the parasocial relationships, right? And I think a lot of people think that they have the ability to do that with certain people, but then it could be like a wall where they're really like there's a parasocial relationship and they think that there's someone that they can move. Like I can grab this person and this person is going to mobilize with me because this person is online doing this or whatever, but they don't know that they're in like a parasocial relationship or whatever. So in those type of situations, how would you identify like if it's a true relationship that you can utilize in, offline, or if it's a parasocial relationship and you need to focus on like what efforts you can put online and then do something else offline? Like, how do you figure that out? Boricua. Got it. Boricua. Sorry. Go ahead, Kay.
So, I mean, just it's how you build that relationship. It depends on how one-sided it is. Is it one person always going to the other person, wanting to chat, or, is there any, like continuity? Like if I'm just constantly reaching out to you and you never respond to me, and I send you DM after DM after DM, day after day, and you don't ever respond to me, we're not going to grow as a relationship. Like we're not going to grow as friends, and it's not going to satisfy that need. The good thing about parasocial relationships is that like sometimes that loneliness quotient or a friendship quotient, but then it becomes an actual, two-sided relationship where parasocial relationships are only one-sided. So then you just talk to, once you start having like conversations and they move from DMs to offline, and then if you already share the same community or are able to travel to the same community, that's when you can like get together in a public place and be safe, and then talk about how you want to build that community and things like that. So I mean, if you think at all that you're in a parasocial relationship, no, you're not gonna be able to mobilize with that person, but you are going to be able to have some people that you can pull in from just your community who might also like, I mean, people in my community, like I've had them listen to you and we've talked about how you're the bridge, right? You're the bridge from a couple different like liberal spaces to then a couple other like socialist spaces. And I think you're that bridge that gets people, there. And so when it comes to community, you have to have people in the community that are willing to do that as well. So that's how I think like altogether, when you really want to work on community, you're going to find the people.
Yeah.
And you're going to reach out to experienced people who know how to bring in community, how to work together, how to organize. And it might not be like two people who are friends might not be the best people to, start a garden. You know what I'm saying?
See, why did you have to say that? Because now I can't say what I was going to say.
Well, you can.
Go ahead and finish.
Free.
No lie, Kay. When I started thinking about that's what I was thinking, because I you know me and you know what I do and how what I'm about, and I thought I was gonna be in a tough mobilization. I flew across the country to realize that no, this isn't really what I thought it was, and I feel like it was more parasocial, but then also a whole false thing or whatever. But I was ready to be a part of this whole thing, this entire entity, as far as doing good for people and driving this and da 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 da, only to learn that that's not what was really happening. And it could have been a situation where I was just I'm completely jaded, but it made me I want to do more. But I think that people can easily get caught up in that, and when it is maybe more so one time, because listening to you talk, I'm sitting there thinking back I remember I might have sent 3 or 4 text messages in a row hey, what are we gonna do? So that's just interesting hearing you say that.
Yeah, I think that you have to see the back and forth and the attention that's there. But I also think you have to be with the right people in order to organize and mobilize. Because you don't want to accidentally get hit by a bus out of right field because, you thought this person was somebody who was going to be able to work with you. But also, can I just say one thing about what Smitty said about trolls and stuff really quick? And then I need to hop down. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. We're doing closing. I was going to let you guys close out anyway, so we're going to go one more time and then wrap it. So yes, Petty, she said a bus. Forget it. I'm just going to throw her into the bus, and she took my first line. Yes, she said bus. Garden.
That's right.
Tough. And go ahead, Kay.
Hold on. You know what? You might be parched. You need water. It's important. But regardless of that, because that could go on for a really long time, I don't think that there are people, whether they are trolls or just bigoted across the board, that should be given oxygen on this app when they talk anything. And I know that you're a firm believer, and I know that we always disagree here, but
yeah, we do.
I know. But my thing is, I think the ostracization, the social outcast thing, I'm not against that.
No, guys, listen, chat. Let me tell you what Kay says. You got to stop collecting stray puppies. That's what Kay will tell me. So just FYI.
It's I know you want to meet everyone where they're at and try so hard, but certain people who we've had on more than once or twice, at some point, not only does there need to be just zero oxygen given, but also Sean said something as wise as she always is. The public humiliation, I am for that. Because I really genuinely just can't anymore with trying. Listen, all the things that we work towards and try to educate and, do intersectionality, we talk about, all of the isms, ists, and phobias. That's important. Knowledge, history is important. True history is important. Reading is important. But I think there comes a time where the oxygen needs to be it all just needs to be snuffed out. And at that point, as soon as you can hear someone talking about, their dead fish and filing a lawsuit and just being, just super disingenuous, it's just you know what? And I would much rather hear you talk about something else or what's in the news or initiatives that people have than sitting there and talking to someone that's super disingenuous.
Well, that's all. Give them one shot, right, Kay? At least one shot.
Right. Listen, I always used to think that there were teachable moments, but they can learn from the comments, as this wise swan always says, go learn from the comments. When people come up and say educate me, or you ask for a source and they say, why don't you tell me? when it's just bad faith, it doesn't seem to work. This, you know how much I love late nights. You know how much, I was so thankful for it to come back. I harassed you. I did. I harassed you, but I do appreciate that you're willing to give extra time to this, because I do think that this is the time when we really do, we do the thing that we can reach as many people as we can, at least in one night. Like, I couldn't go grab, 600 people and, have a conversation with them right this second. I mean, I could, but I would have to do some things that are frowned upon. And I was just saying, but so I really appreciate you for all that you do. And I hope you take that in. But I do think that sometimes the trolling aspect of it, I would much rather offer them community like you did with Jonathan, even though he's out there just like, oh, I get a dopamine lift off that. You know what else you get a dopamine off of? Kindness. Helping people with their basic needs. Also get a dopamine rush from that. Don't have to be that person. So I'd rather offer community than offer oxygen to spill bigotry. That's it.
I'll say this before you go, okay? I'm super excited about the things that we have lined up next. The first thing that we said we were going to do, we're not doing it this week because I wanted to roll into this and then warm everybody back up. But I think we need to get back to that foundational thing again, starting next week. And then I just have I almost cursed, a freak ton of topics that I really want to get into. I think this is going to be real. Oh my gosh. I'm actually excited about this. I'm excited about this. So
I am too. And I think just because we've had a hiatus of, time going back to the basics and redefining some of the, things like that is going to be great. And just a gentle call in for my friend, because you know how we do here, but the F word that you used, you don't want to use that either.
What,
so
freak?
Please don't.
Oh, sorry.
Again. Just saying.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Got it. Oh, yeah. Got it. Okay. I can do it.
I love you all. Thank you so much for letting me share the panel with you guys tonight. And thank you to all the tappers and the gifters and the donors and everyone watching. I'm so glad that Late Nights is back and that you've been here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. We love you too. Smitty, I'm going to toss it to you. Final words. This is going to be something that we're doing for the next couple of nights. This is the first night. Late Nights is back. But what do you think is something that people should take from this topic or this conversation? Or what do you think there's something that you hope people end up walking away as someone, like I said, you host your own spaces, you're responsible for people. And I know the burden of being responsible for, having hundreds or thousands of people at one time listening to your words. What do you hope people are able to get from this when it comes to engaging with other people online?
That's a good question, man. I think there are a couple things. I think one is I hope people really take the fact that, that obviously you really care about what you do and you put a lot of time and effort into what you do. And I think, from what I can see, and being, and checking out your platform, right? And also what I try to do as well is really, really foster that sense of community. I think one of the best compliments I ever got was from another content creator. Her name is Shaky. She does stuff with Sudan and Congo, and she does work in Baltimore, her own neighborhood. And when she said, she's like, Smitty, your people, when I need something or when we're trying to help somebody, they always just respond immediately. And I was like, wow, that to me was, again, one of the best compliments I've ever gotten. And what I think is interesting too, and what I hope people can take away, right? Because a lot of times we'll focus on the negative and, and the trolls or whatever it may be. But what I think is interesting?
What's that?
Is, the synergy between the folks on my platform, the folks on your platform, and the folks on Swan's platform. You know what I mean? I think it's really interesting how all three of our spaces are very symbiotic. There's so many people that come to my space and say, oh my gosh, I found you through Swan or Santana, and vice versa. You know, there are people that are like, Smitty, why do you got to go live at the same time as Santana? I'm like, I'm sorry, it's the only time I can go live, man. Trust me, I want to be in there too, you know? So, you know, I think if we can take away some good and some positive, right, as well, and realize, hey, when there's 600 or 1,000 or 2,000, however many people in there, that a lot of those people are like-minded. They're looking for places to connect, and let's celebrate the fact that, again, we have fellow content creators who are on the same plane, who really want to do good. Because we get so inundated, man, with the negative and all of the bad things that we see, and we have to cover it, right? But there is really a lot of good in what we all do. And I think we just need to focus on it. I'm so excited to hear what you got planned, man. And I'm so honored to be in your space.
Yeah. No, listen, Smitty, you know how highly I think of you, how highly I think of your space. And like, even there's certain places that I go that I try to have like certain levels of decorum. I know like there's certain places I can go and I'll just like, you know, show my whole behind. But then there's other spaces where I have to have decorum, and I try to make sure I have decorum. And even like when I was on your panel the other day and I was listening to like the people speak, I knew for a fact that I would have crashed out. And I was like, I'm not going to crash out on Smitty's panel. I refuse to actually crash out on Smitty's panel. And so like, I just appreciate the way that you actually hold your space in the community that you foster and like the things that you stand for and push. And it gives me something to strive for. Like every time I see you and what you're doing, I'm like, I want to be like Smitty, because the calm composure and like the demeanor-ness that you carry yourself with is always amazing. So thank you for that. And thank you for coming up here and hanging out with us tonight.
Appreciate you, man.
All right. Have a good one. Guys, really quick, W's in the chat for Dragon Lover. What up, Dragon Lover, for the $5 donation, saying W for the community. I know that's right. W for the community and W for you. Thank you so much. And also, guys, W's in the chat for Brenda. Brenda sent a $5 donation saying thank you for a great discussion and glad Late Nights with Santana are back. Hope to join again soon. Brenda, we will be back tomorrow night. We will be back active tomorrow night. Late Nights with Santana has shifted to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 2 hours instead of 3, still the same total amount of time, but 2 hours instead of 3, 4 nights in a row. So if you guys, I know there were a ton of people that were in the box that did not get the opportunity to actually join the conversation. So if you missed out tonight, come back tomorrow. We will be live again for Late Nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And if you want to join the actual panel in the conversation, get here, get on the panel. You can join. Swan. I want to get final words from you, final thoughts from you, but I want to tip my hat for a second. There's a couple of things that I was just saying to Kay, like a couple of topics that I want to do. And there's one topic that's been kicking everyone's butt. And I would be honored if I could get a co-host from you to help with this topic. And the topic is going to be around race, ethnicity, and nationality. That's going to be the core of the actual conversation. We're going to build so much more around it, but like people don't understand the difference between race, ethnicity, and nationality and the roles that it play in our society, why you can't have these conversations around like oppression, white supremacy, all this other stuff without understanding those things. So any chance I could get you to come and join me with that one?
Listen, you already know I'm down. It's a no-brainer. I'm already, yeah, of course I'm down for that. For sure.
And Swan, it's got them in a headlock like they have no idea.
It's really important. I've been speaking a lot. Usually what I used to do in my life when I talk about racism, white supremacy, I'd be on. When I wouldn't get any more requests, then I would kind of just like end the live. But now I've been staying on, sometimes a little bit too long with it. You know, I'm working on that. But I've been going live since, 1452.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I've really noticed is that like when I have discussions with people, for sure, people are going to learn from that interaction. But I also think it's really important that I'm talking about things that are impacting us in real time. I've been trying to find ways to get my hands on information that is not so obvious and bringing that to the forefront and putting people onto that. Like, for example, one thing I've been talking about, and you'll hear me talking about it tonight, is Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation.
I heard you the other night talking about him. Yes.
Yeah. And I'll go, if you want to hear about it, I'll be live and I'll talk about it more. But things like that are really important for people to know about and to understand. But I think that that's one thing that I've really just been trying to incorporate in my live space is giving this information out to people so that they know and understand what the heck is going on, because these things are not going to be in your face. You may be wondering, oh, this person, let's say you meet somebody in real life, right? And you're thinking to yourself, like, man, this person just like, they're always just, I don't know, I'm thinking in terms of like family support, like their children are always eating like food that's not necessarily the greatest, right? But then like for me, I may have a discussion with the family and sit down with them and I find out that there's 5 children in the home, mom's on disability, all they have close by is a Dollar General, right? So like instead of and then also understanding how certain areas where people live only have access to certain things, right? So for me, when we have discussions like that, it's really important that people just understand like how racism works, how white supremacy works, the history of a lot of things, and then also not just understanding that in your own area, but all across the United States, but also in the global South. That's something that I've been incorporating into my discussions. Like that is really, really important. You like people don't realize the reason why a grocery store may or may not be in your area is because of some ties that the company may have with another country, and it's wild. But you get what I'm saying when I say that. There's just a lot going on that people need to understand.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think there's so much to that, and even more so. Like I find you already know how I feel about you and your space and everyone else. Like I'm not gonna do all of that again, but like, you know why I think so highly of you and the people that you associate with and the importance of your space. And so, like one, being able to share in your space has been like one of the best things that I've ever engaged with online, but two, I really appreciate you coming in and joining this conversation, because I think that if you can come back at any point this week, I feel like you have so much to add to this, especially like the point that I want to get here, which is connecting and building, which I think that it fascinates me how much we can mobilize online, but I know for a fact that we can do more offline, and I know you do a ton offline, and so I want to figure that out as well. So I would love if you can help with that portion as far as like that conversation. So anyway, thank you, Swan.
Of course, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to do late nights again. I love it.
Absolutely. All right, thank you. Have a good night. When are you going live?
You too. Probably right now.
All right, sounds good. We'll be in there.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. W's in the chat for Swan. All right, guys. All right, listen. It's like a bike that I hadn't rode in a while. It was a little shaky at first. Couldn't figure out the panel. Couldn't figure out how to get the format right. Everything was a little, but we made it. We made it through the first night, back with Late Nights with Santana. And you know what? There will be more. There will be more. So we will be back tomorrow evening for Late Nights with Santana. One thing that I want to do, and I'm going to put a video out about this, and if you take a look on all three, as a matter of fact, let me do this really quick. This one, sorry. 1 second. All right, so I got all three of my counts up, right? This is the main, this is the backup, this is the backup to the backup, right? All three of them, boom, 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 boom. Make sure you're following all three. I have put my times as far as what I'm doing on the different profiles, because what I'm thinking, not only do I want to have synergy, and redundancy between all three, but I want to be able to make sure that people know where to go for what you want to see. So going forward in the future, pretty soon, the main account, this is going to be the late nights account right here. This is where we're going to do the community, late nights, all the good stuff, right? This is where the second account, that's going to be sparring. That's where we tussle. This is where we get active right here. That's going to be on that account. And then brunch with my creator and like any other special things we do, we're going to do it on the third account, the Reloaded, right? So I know that we do a lot of different stuff within our community. And I know that I end up on the same account or whatever, but I understand like the difference it is when certain people see me live. The problem that I always had is like when I was live on my main and I would debate on my main and then I would try to do late nights on my main, you would get a bunch of people who are either trolls or they would come up and they would think that it's a debate and liberal. And I'm like, that's not what this is. So if I can create enough separation, but also have it still connective where like this is late nights, this is sparring, this is brunch with my creator, where people know where to go to see what you want to see depending on which profile is live. So I put all the times for the different things that I do on each profile. So on the main profile, if you go to the front, you see the times that I'm going to be live doing late nights. If you go to the backup, you'll see the times I'm going to be doing sparring. If you go to the third account, you'll see the times I'm going to be doing brunch with my creator. So follow all the accounts, but that way you will know what's happening, when it's happening, and how we do all the things. Are we good? We good? Everybody good? Good? Yeah, you in? You in? All right. All right. Guys, it's been a wonderful night, but it is time to go. And I promise you tomorrow, I will not only start on time, I will be more cognitive of the time. I will get people in and out. Sorry, it was my first day back. I ran over. It wasn't as fluid as I wanted to be, but I promise you we're gonna get this thing together for the rest of the week. W's in the chat for the money gun. Let's go ahead and call it a night, guys.
Yeah, this ain't your regular panel. Nah, we speak the truth. Late nights with Santana and Mama Jones watching. Better keep it clean. Let's go. Late nights, truth in the convo. Everybody get a seat at the table. From the block to the books, we mindful. No screaming, just dreams and the Bible. One mic, one voice, we build bridges from the heart of the hood to the world's big issues. Politics, pay, different cultures. But the real ones listen before they rebuttal. Late nights with Santana. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it growing. Ain't about flexing, just the purpose zone. Santana, hold it steady when it might get hot. But we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Yeah, late nights with Santana.
Oh, it's so good to be back. It's so good to be back. Late nights is the place where it all started. It's my love, it's my heart, and I'm just happy to be here to share it with you all again. I truly mean that. I'm so excited for what we have coming up, the things that we're going to do. Guys, we're going to build our community better. We're going to make our community stronger. We're going to be better people together. And late nights is where we're going to do the work. So make sure you're here. I'll be here. As long as you're here, we'll do it together. Thank you all. Thank you for all the gifts, the taps, the likes, the shares. Thank you all for being absolutely amazing. Thank you all for just caring. I love you all. And as always,